In this video, I'll break down the exact thinking I used from motion design to create this horizontal accordion carousel and how you can apply the same approach to your own UI animations. Alright, so first things first, we're going to start by creating a desktop frame. This frame is actually going to house the section for our speakers. So we're going to use the desktop frame, that is the 1440 by 1024. Then next, we're going to add a layout grid. So we're going to change this to columns, set the count to 12 and the color to a light gray color. Then we're going to set the margin to 48 pixels on both sides. Then next, we're going to create our top nav, which is the header. So the first thing I'm going to type in here is location, and this is going to be called the Odeon Sheffield, England. And I'm going to align it 48 pixels to the left, so from the left hand side, 32 from the top as well. Then I'm going to reduce the width of this so the text takes up 2 lines, and then I'm going to change the color of the word location to something off-white, and then the color of the text to something a little bit gray, not pure black. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this guy, then move it to the right hand side of the desktop. Then we're going to justify this to the right, and this is going to be the date information. So we're going to use November 21 to 27 2026. Let's reduce the width of this as well. Then we're going to duplicate this guy also, align to the center of the desktop frame, and this is going to be the name of the conference. So we're going to call this the Next Wave Conference. We're going to justify this to the left, and let's align this to the center. Then we're going to set the color of this to the same color we have here. So 30, I'm going to paste this here. Now we're going to take the 3 texts and convert them to an auto layout. Then we'll set the spacing to auto. That way it becomes responsive. Then the next thing we're going to do is create the heading for the section. So this is going to be called Meet the Speakers. We're going to increase the size to 64 pixels, and we're going to change the color to what we have as the one above here. Let's align this to the left, so make sure it's 48 pixels as well from the left hand side of the desktop. Then let's reduce the width of this as well so it takes up 2 lines, and let's reduce the line height of the text to 60. Now let's duplicate this text, take it to the right hand side of the desktop, justify right, and let's reduce the size of this to 16. This is going to be the caption for the section. So I have the text here, so I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Then I'm going to increase the width of this so it takes up 2 lines as well. Then I'm going to copy this color and paste it here as well. Then I'll take this 2 texts, the heading and the caption, convert to an auto layout, and align to the bottom. Next thing we're going to create is the placeholder for our image. I'm going to create the first placeholder or the first card on the desktop because I want to use the grid to make sure everything is aligned. Then draw a frame that spans across 4 columns. Then I'm just going to zoom in to make sure it snaps to the edge of the column. Yeah. And then I'll probably just increase this a little bit. I'm going to add a few color just so I can see what I'm working with. Then I'm going to increase the corner radius. Let's try 20. So this is going to be the open state. Then we're going to duplicate this, move it to the left. Then we're going to reduce the width to the size of the column. Then this is going to be our closed state. So let's rename the frames. Close and open. Now we're going to take these 2 guys out, and we're going to create a component set. I'm going to bring in just one image that I have. So you can use any kind of image you have. It can be abstract, it can be architecture, anything. It can be a landscape. But because I'm dealing with speakers here, it's a conference, so I'm going to be using pictures of people. So I'm just going to bring in just one image here that I have on my desktop. And I'm going to cut this and paste it inside the frame here. I'm going to align this to the center, then reduce the size of this. Make sure it snaps to the edges of the frame. And I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Next thing we're going to do is copy this image, paste it in the closed state as well, align it to the center. Then we have the closed state and the open state images. What I want to do is I want to create a transition where the closed image has a black and white filter while the open image has a colored filter. So the black and white fades into a colored image. So to do that, I'm just going to select the image in the closed state, click on fill, then under the thumbnail, you have parameters. So take the contrast up a little bit and the exposure as well. Then take down the saturation to the last value. Then you have this. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create an overlay because we don't want a situation where we type in the name of the speaker and the title and it begins to clash with the background. So we want that overlay to serve as a contrast between the background image and the text. So to do that, we're going to duplicate this image, hold down Ctrl and click and drag the top handle till it snaps to the top of the image. Do the same thing for the bottom, for the left hand side and the right hand side. Now we're going to rename this to overlay, then go to fill, image, change this from image to gradient, then take the top handle, set it to black and reduce the opacity, take it down to 0, take the bottom handle, take it to pure black and increase the opacity up to 100. Then you have this transition going from pure black to transparent color. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this overlay and paste it in the open state. So we're going to copy this, paste this here, deactivate proportional edits, proportional size, I think that's what that's called, yeah, or aspect ratio. Then we'll take the right handle and drag it to the right hand side. Then you have this. Let's lock the overlay layer just so we don't move it mistakenly. Yeah, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our text, right? So this is going to be the name of the speaker. Let's justify this to the left. Make sure it's 24 pixels rather, from the left hand side. Then we're going to duplicate this, drag it down, and this is going to be the title of the speaker. So this is going to be CEO blacklist. Let's reduce the size of the title and let's change the color to something gray. Now let's take the two texts and make sure they are both 24 pixels from the left and 24 pixels from the bottom. There you go. Then we're going to take the text, copy them, paste them in the closed states and hold down shift and align this horizontally. We're going to move this down 3 steps. So that's 1, 2, 3. Holding down shift on your keyboard. Then we're going to reduce the opacity to 0. So double click or hit the 0 keyboard on your number pad twice. And that's it. So let's rename this to image. Now we're going to copy the open states from the variants here, from the component set rather, then paste it in our desktop frame, align it to the center and bring it down. Then we're going to make sure the distance between our image and the text, the title and the caption is 40. There you go. Now we have our open state. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to duplicate this image and change the variance to the closed state. So Ctrl D, move this to the right, and actually we're going to set this from open to closed. Then we're going to duplicate this multiple times. Then we're going to take each of this, select all of them, hold down Alt on your keyboard and shift and drag to the right hand side like so. So you have the open state and you have the closed state. Now I'm going to turn off this layout grid because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to select all these cards here and place them in an auto layout frame. Why am I doing that? If I close this and I open the next one, I want it to be responsive. I don't want to have to be moving things around manually. So that's the essence of putting this in an auto layout frame. You would understand why very soon, why I'm doing that now. Because when we're doing the second part of this video, we're going to be removing the auto layout frame. But for now, we need it for the responsiveness. So let's bring back the open state of this and take this to the close. Now let's move this away. Let's move this out of the way. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace these images with any image we have because we can't use the same image here, right? So I'm going to speed up this part of the video and when I'm back, we'll continue. All right, so welcome back. We have our images all swapped out. So I didn't do for all the images, right? Because I'm not going to be making everything interactive. This is just to show you an idea, or this is just to show you how you can actually create animations like this inside Figma. So I'm just going to be using 4 images here to demonstrate that. Now that we have our images swapped out, the next thing we want to do is we want to create multiple states, right? So this is going to be duplicating the desktop frame the number of times we need it. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be using 4 images to demonstrate this. So I have one already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this desktop frame 3 more times. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for the first one, we have the image in the middle opened. Then the next one is going to be the lady on the left. So we're going to turn this back to open and set this to close. For the next one, it's going to be for the lady to the right. So we're going to set this to open and set this to close. Then we'll do the same thing for the man on the farther right. So set this to open and we'll set this to close. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hop into prototype and we're going to link the cards to their respective frame, their respective desktop frame. So when the user clicks on this image here, on the lady here, it should expand, it should switch to this desktop frame. So we're going to set the trigger to click, destination, action, navigate to, animation, smart animate, and the curve. Your default curve is going to be ease out, so you switch that to gentle, and the duration should be 800 milliseconds, which is 0.8 seconds. Then we're going to do the same thing for the rest of the images. So let's do it for the first frame here. This might actually be the second longest part of this whole process, so take your time with this, and I'm going to speed up the video here, and when we're done, I'll be back. All right, so we're done with that. I'm just going to rename this to home. And yeah, so let's preview this. Select the first desktop frame, then hit shift spacebar to bring up the preview. So now let's reset this. And yeah, so let's see. So the user clicks on this and this opens up. User clicks on this, it opens up. Same thing here and same thing here. So we have all our cards responding the way we want them to. I think I'm just gonna fix this lady's card a bit. So going to fill image, then I'm gonna move this guy just a little bit to the top. And let's see. Perfect. This is perfect. Awesome. Now, for the second part of this video, we're going to be creating an interaction where these elements, they all animate in. So they go from an empty state to a filled state. So we're going to duplicate this desktop frame, move it to the top, and we're going to call it empty state. That's going to be our starting frame. So what we want to do is we want each of these elements to animate in a stagger manner, right? So by stagger, I mean the headline comes in first, then the caption comes in next, then each of these images, they come in at different interval. So it can be at an interval of 0.5 or 0.3, whatever works for you, right? So now we can't do that with the auto layout frame because we can't alter the position of this. If we try to move this, it snaps back unless we set it to absolute position, which we can do. It's not a bad idea. I would rather remove the auto layout. That way it's easy for me to work. So now I'm going to select the title and the caption as well as the image. The image auto layout, same thing here as well. And I'm going to remove the auto layout by hitting shift backspace, I guess. Oh, sorry, control backspace. There you go. Now, oh, this is a mistake. Empty state. So now what we're going to do is we're going to animate this guy. So we're going to move this guy, everything down 3 steps. So we're going to hold down shift and we're going to move them 1, 2, 3. Now that's for the meet the speakers. Then we'll deselect the title. Make sure you have the rest of the content selected. Then move them down 3 steps further. 1, 2, 3. Deselect the caption and move the images down. 1, 2, 3. Deselect the first image, move it down 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to select everything and we're going to reduce the opacity to 0. So hit the 0 on your number key or on your number pad twice. 1, 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the empty state frame, hop into prototype tab. Then we're going to click and drag the handle to the desktop one, and we're going to set the trigger to after delay. And we want the delay to be 0.2 seconds. And yeah, and everything else, or we can actually alter this. So we can go into animation, then okay, this stays at smart animate. The curve should be set to Bezier curve. We're going to work with the speed graph here. So what we want to do is we want the card to accelerate. We want the card to pick up speed from the beginning, then have its peak in the middle, and then reduce its speed towards the end, right? We're going to take this handle here and we're going to drag it to the top like so. And we're going to take this handle here and we're going to move it to the right hand side because we want it to pick up pace from here, have its peak in the middle, then reduce at the end. And we can set the duration to 500 milliseconds because animations ideally or micro interactions like this are meant to be between 0.5 and probably 0.8 milliseconds. So 500 milliseconds is 0.8. Yeah, so let's check this out. Shift spacebar. Now you notice that the images are not coming in the way they are, but the text are doing what we want them to do. And the reason for that is because we still have all the images here still in auto layout. So we're going to remove that, control backspace, and let's test this out again. Shift spacebar. As you can see, they made the speakers, the title is coming in first, the caption comes in next. Now, if you want this to be a little bit more pronounced, you can hop into the prototype properties of the empty state and probably increase this to 800. And let's check this out again. Let's refresh. As you can see, it's becoming more prominent. And let's test out our click interactions and everything works smoothly. Beautiful. Yeah, and that's the end of the tutorial, and I hope you actually learned one or two things from this video. Yeah, so with this kind of animation, you can apply this approach to whatever animation you have in mind. So it doesn't have to be this sort of style. Just make sure your animations follow the core motion principles, the core animation principles. The interactions are not meant to be all stagger. They're not meant to be linear, not stagger, pardon me. They're not meant to be linear, and they don't have to enter at the same time. You can create this sort of interesting atmosphere where everything comes in at different times. So just add your kind of flair to it, right? Don't make it feel so robotic. So with that, I believe you can apply these principles to any of your animations, be it in Figma or be it in any other prototyping software. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments and make sure you like and subscribe as well.